Good morning students. Today we will be talking about conflict and view serializable schedules, and we will be talking about the rollback process in case of transaction failures, right. Okay. So, before we start with the conflict and view serializable schedule, we should know what is serialization, right. Now, if it is left entirely to the operating system to decide on the interleaving of the concurrent transaction, it would not be possible to predict the end result, and the database may be left in an inconsistent state. So, it is to be ensured by the database management system that any schedule that executes must leave the database in a consistent state. The database component that ensures this aspect is known as concurrency control component. So, this is our main component in the database management system, concurrency control component, which takes care of the concurrency control. The schedule should in some sense be equivalent to serial schedule. This process is called serialization. So, whenever we are talking about a concurrent schedule, we should always have a equivalent serial schedule for that concurrent schedule, and having a serial schedule, equivalent serial schedule for a concurrent schedule, this process is known as serialization, and this is mainly managed by the concurrency control component, right. So, basically when we talk about serialization, the main thing that we have in serialization is that when we are having a concurrent execution, that we always have, right. We never have serial schedules, because with serial schedules the resources are wasted, we do not get good throughput, there is lot of huge waiting time. So, we to avoid any such condition, we have concurrent schedules, right, and to maintain the consistency of the database with the concurrent scheduling, we have this concurrent control, concurrency control component as a part of the database management system, right. And serialization is the process where a concurrent schedule has a equivalent serial schedule. That means, at the end we should get the same result, right. So, let us move to the type of serialization, right. So, when we talk about the type of serialization, the first serializability is your conflict serializability, right. The second one is view serializability, right. So, we will take up both of them one by one and see how they work and how we get a equivalent serial schedule for them, right. Now, what is conflict serializability? Conflict serializability says that this is based on the concept of logically swapping of non-conflicting instructions in a schedule. So, whenever we have a schedule, if in the basically the concurrent schedule, we can swap the non-conflicting instructions, and by swapping the non-conflicting instructions, we are able to get a serial schedule or a serial equivalent schedule. We say that we are achieving conflict serializability. Now, before we get into the into more details of conflict serializability, one term we are talking about, this is swapping of non-conflicting instructions. Now, what are non-conflicting instructions, right? Now, this concept is very important for you to understand. We have some set of instructions in every transactions. These will be read instructions, there will be write instructions, copy composition of read and write, then we will have other set of instructions also, right. So, whenever we are having these type of transactions where we are having read write and combination of read write and they are getting executed at the same time, which set of instructions will be called non-conflicting instructions. So, let us go into the details of it. It says, let a schedule S have two consecutive instructions I and Ij. So, schedule S is there, right, and it is having two instructions I and Ij. Now, I belongs to a transaction Ti and Ij belongs to a transaction Tj respectively, right. So, over here it has been specified that I belongs to Ti and Ij belongs to Tj, right. So, these are two transactions and these two transactions are a part of schedule S and both the transactions are having these instructions I and Ij. Now, the two consecutive instructions will be called non-conflicting if they satisfy the following conditions. So, they will be called non-conflicting if they satisfy these conditions. What are these conditions? First, the instructions are referring to the access of different data items, right. Now, try to understand that this is a schedule S, right. We had two transactions Ti and Tj. Both the transactions are having instructions I and Ij, right, and there is a data item. Let us say P is a data item and Q is a data item. These are like part of the database, right. We are having these two data items. So, it says that the instructions are referring to access of different data items, right. For example, I may refer to the access of data item P. So, I is using P and Ij is using Q. So, first condition is that these two instructions will be called non-conflicting if they are both using two different data items, right. First condition. Second condition says that both are referring to the access of the same data item and both are read instructions. Let us say that they were now using both of them are using the same data item. Ij is also using Q and I is also using Q, but both of them are only read instructions. So, in that case also they will be called non-conflicting instructions, right. Next, the third condition, it says that if the non-conflicting instructions, these were the two conditions for non-conflicting instructions. The third point says that if the non-conflicting instructions are swapped on the time scale, the end state of the database remains unchanged. So, if we are having these two conditions, right, we are having non-conflicting instructions and we are swapping them on the time scale. We will see an example where this swapping is taking place, right, and they are swapped on the time scale, the end state of the database remains unchanged. So, logically swapping of two non-conflicting instructions make no difference as far as the database consistency is concerned, right. So, what we can do is we can logically swap these non-conflicting instructions, right. Now, just the reverse, once we have gone through your non-conflicting instructions, we need to know what are conflicting instructions as well. Now, what are conflicting instructions? Again the same example, T I T J, which belongs to a schedule S, and there is a instruction I I and I J, right, and there is a data item, let us say Q, right. Now, what are the conditions? The condition for these two instructions I and I j to be conflicting instruction, the first condition is both should be using the same data item Q. Both should be using the same data item Q, right, and at least one of them, right, at least one of them is a write operation on the data item Q. So, either I is a write operation and I j is a read operation, or I is a read and I j is a write, or both of them are write and write operation. In that case, we will call them conflicting instructions, right. Okay. Now, we have seen what are conflicting instructions and what are non-conflicting instructions. Now, to get a conflict equivalence of this schedule, what we are going to do? We are going to logically swap them. Now, two schedules S and S dash are said to be conflict equivalent. Please listen very carefully. Two schedules S and S dash are said to be conflict equivalent if by series of swap of non-conflicting instructions of S, the schedule S gets transferred to schedule S dash. So, what happens if we are having a concurrent execution or a conflicting set of instructions? So, by just logically swapping the non-conflicting instructions in both the transaction, we get a new schedule S dash which is equivalent to S. For example, schedule S5 and S6 are conflict equivalent schedule that we have seen previously. Two schedules S5 and S6 that we have seen previously were conflict equivalent schedules, right. Now, what is a conflict equivalent schedule? It says a concurrent or non-serial schedule S is said to be conflict serializable if there exists a serial schedule S dash that may be conflict equivalent to S. In that case, we will tell that the schedule is a conflict equivalent schedule. Okay. Now, let us see go through some examples, right. Now, this is an example of a conflict serializable schedule, right. Over here you can see this is the schedule where we are having read A, write A, then read A, write A, and then read B, write B. So, what we can say, whether these set of schedule are non-conflicting? No, they are conflicting instructions, right. Why? Because the same data set S is the same data set A is being used over here also, over here also, and both of them are having a combination of read and write. So, they cannot be swapped. Let us see the next combination. If we talk about this combination and this combination, are they conflicting or non-conflicting? They are non-conflicting. Why? Because it is reading the value of A and writing the value of A in T2, and in T1 it is reading the value of B and writing the value of B. So, what has happened? The data set has, or the data item has changed. Over here for this the data item was A, for this set of instruction, the data item was B. Now, how to convert it into a serial schedule? Let us see, just by swapping these instructions on the timeline, we can convert it into a serial schedule. So, you can see over here, we have swapped this set with this particular set, and what is the result that we are getting? The result which we are getting, you can see over here. Now, this is a serial schedule, it is no more a concurrent schedule. So, for that concurrent schedule, we have a equivalent serial schedule. So, these examples we have already seen. So, you can see S5 and S6 are conflict equivalent schedules, right. So, this is how we can make or swap the non-conflicting instructions on the timeline, and we can get a equivalent serial schedule, right. Now, let us take one more example. In this example, you can see this is S7. So, over here we are having read A, then we came to transaction T2, where we are having read A and write A, then we are having a write A followed by read B and write B, right. So, do you think we can convert them into a equivalent serial schedule, right? Can we convert that? No, that is not possible over here. That type of swapping is not possible, because over here you can see the combination is with this or the combination is with this, right, and both of them are having the same data set A, right, and we are having combination of read and write. So, in this case you can see that we are having a example where we are having a non-conflict equivalent schedule. So, we cannot convert this particular schedule in a conflict equivalent schedule. A serial schedule is not possible in this particular case, right. Now, let us see how to test for serializability of schedule. So, whether a schedule is serializable or not, we can test it by using this graph method. This is known as the precedence graph method, and it is a very good tool to check whether a particular schedule is serializable or not, right. So, this precedence graph method works like, for what do we do is, in this method, for every schedule we try to draw the precedence graph. And how do we do it? Each transaction is shown by a circle with a transaction number in the center, right. So, this is a transaction, right. Each transaction T I participating in the schedule S will be represented by a vertex like this, right. Second step, for each data item Q accessed in the schedule S, there will be edge from T I to T j. That means, what does T I and what does this edge show? That T I is preceding T j, right, indicates T I precedes T j. That means, T I is getting executed before T j, right, providing any of the following three conditions. So, what are the three conditions that are specified over here? The three conditions are that T I executes write Q before T j executes read. So, it is telling you the meaning of this edge, right. What is this edge representing, right. So, this edge is representing that T I, maybe it is executing its write operation on Q before T j executes its read operation on Q, right. Then T I executes its read operation on Q before T j executes its write operation on Q. Next, T I executes write operation on Q before T j executes its write operation on Q, right. So, over here you can see we are not talking about the read combination, right. In a read-read combination, there is no conflict at all. Whenever we have a combination of read and write or write and write, then only we have such type of a condition, a conflicting condition. So, this shows that anything, any combination, a read-write combination, a write-read combination or a write-write combination, T I will do it before T j, right. So, this H represents these three conditions. Now, what is the test for serializability? When we are making the precedence graph, the test for serializability, it says if no cycle is detected in the precedence graph. After making the complete precedence graph, if no cycle is detected, then the schedule S is conflict serializable, right. In that case, the schedule S is going to be conflict serializable, and else it is not conflict serializable. So, if there is no cycle, if there is a cycle, we cannot have a conflict serializability in that case, right. If there is a cycle, if there is no cycle, only in that case we will have conflict serializability, and we will take as example and see how to check for serializability, right. So, this example we will see with the precedence graph, and we will also see what is view serializability. Till now we have seen conflict serializability, and now we are seeing what is view serializability, and in this example, in this part only we will take an example of precedence graph and see how to check it. So, it says in some situation a schedule S may not be conflict serializable, but it may be equivalent to a serial schedule S dash, which starts from a given initial state of the database, produces same end result in the database as produced by S, starting from the same initial state, right. So, for example, over here example is given, S8 is the schedule, and it says that this particular schedule is not conflict serializable, right. This particular schedule is not conflict serializable, because you over here you can see all combination of reads and writes are there, right, and on the same data item A. So, in this case this particular example is not conflict serializable, but the end result is same as the last example that we saw, right. Now, if you want to make the precedence graph for this particular example, you can see the precedence graph T1 reads before T2 writes, right. T1 is reading before T2 writes, T1 reads A before T3 writes, T1 reads A before T3 writes, then T2 writes before T1 writes, T2 writes before T3 writes, right. So, this we have concluded from this particular schedule, and for this particular conclusion that we have made, we will go into the precedence graph over here. So, over here you can see that for those statements we have drawn the precedence graph, and because there is a cycle over here, right, you can see there is a cycle in this particular example, and the cycle is here, right, and there is a cycle between T1, T2 and T1. So, this is not conflict serializable, but it is view serializable, because in the end we are getting the same result. So, these are some of the things that we need to keep in mind while we are going for view serializability, and it says that a schedule S is said to be view equivalent in another schedule S dash if the following conditions are met. For each data item Q, if transaction T1 reads its initial value of Q in S, then T1 must be reading the initial value of Q in S dash also. Whenever it is giving the final output, whatever it is giving as the final output in S, it should also give the final output in S dash also. Similarly, whatever changes are being made in S, the similar type of changes should be made in S dash also. So, these are the conditions that we need to maintain for view serializability, and it says that a conflict serializable schedule will be a view serializable, will also be view serializable, but the reverse is not possible, right. Very quickly we will go through cascading rollbacks. Now, what are cascading rollbacks? It says that suppose a transaction T I modifies a data item Q and the modified value of Q is read by another transaction T j, right, before the T I commits. Now, suppose T I fails during the execution and it has to be rolled back. In that condition, what we need to do? So, the value of data item Q which T j has read is undone by transaction T I, right. Thus, a computational performance of T j based on the value of Q would cause database inconsistency. Thus, when transaction T I fails during the execution and it has to be rolled back, we also have to roll back those transactions which might have read the data item modified by transaction T I, such that rollback is called a, such type of a rollback is called a transaction rollback, right, or a cascading rollback. And it says that in the schedule S10, since T2, so the previous schedule that we saw, in the schedule S10, since T2 reads the value of data item A after it has already been modified T1, but before Ti commits or T1 commits, and also T3 reads the value of data item A as modified further by T2. Therefore, T1 commits and T2 commits. In this case, what we have to do in this case, if Ti fails during its subsequent execution before it commits, then T2 and T3 also must roll back along with T1, and this type of rollback is called a cascading rollback, right. So, this is what is a cascading rollback, and what is basically to avoid such type of things, because cascading rollback has lot of overheads. So, to remove such type of overheads, what should we do? We should always have, or we should always prefer to have cascadeless schedules, and it says that the need of cascadeless rollback can be effectively adopted by improving and restricting on the schedule of the data items, right. So, what is the main idea? Have a cascadeless schedule, and whenever we say about a recoverable schedule, a concurrent schedule is said to be recoverable under two conditions: if it is serializable and if it is cascadeless. Thank you so much.